Hi guys, here's the instructions that I'm going to give you for Conquest of Paradise. Sorry for camera shaking, all that stuff. This is my first go. So this is the map, and you can see all these white spaces here. Those are going to be filled in as we play with islands and open seas and atolls, and those are like little uninhabitable islands. All the words on it are just for historical reference. So you can see like, Easter Island would be way over there, that kind of thing. So those are just historical references. The 4-player setup would look a little different, but this is the 2-player. So let's start with what we're trying to do. We're trying to get our guys up the victory track all the way to 4-player 22. And how we do that is you get a victory point for every village you have. Village. And every island you control. I control Tonga right now. I'm going to play Tonga. And Samoa is going to be the enemy. So you get a victory point. So right now that's why we all start with 3. We have 2 villages and 1 island that we control. How do you control an island? Well, you get guys on it. So let's say there's an island here. And it's going to look like, let's just throw one out there. It's going to look like Rawaki. And you get a guy there. And you, as long as you have canoes connecting to it, you'll control it. So that's if it were here and you have a canoe here and a canoe there, you now have 4 victory points. And then you get half for atolls, and I'm sure they're going to come up here in a second. Let me take a look. Oh, and of course they're not coming up. Holy cow, there we go. An atoll. So no spot for you to put a village. So let's talk about the units first. These are the units. The ones with stars are for battle. We have a war canoe, we have a war band, and then these are war bands that stay home and defend your islands. These guys can stay home too, but they also can move. Down here are our non-war units. We have canoes. They're very good for transporting colonists, which are these guys. So they transport colonists, and then they also connect your islands for points. And then this, which I flipped around, is a rumor token, and that is for confusing the enemy, confusing your opponents. Basically, every side is going to have a symbol on it, and they're going to look like that. You place every unit down like that, so rumors cost you nothing to build, and you can move them around, pretending they're other things, and kind of throw people off the scent of what you're really trying to do. But once they get exposed, they just disappear. So they all are going to look like that. So that way nobody knows. The only time these are face up is when you have an island that's connected. Then you leave these up to show that I have all these islands that are connected, and they're going to get me victory points. Okay, so those are the units. That's it. That's all the units. Then this handy dandy player aid that everyone has. It has a little historical thing on your own island. It's got the turn sequence. It has exploration results, which we'll get into in a second. It's got your victory points and how you earn them. You get half a point for controlling an uninhabitable atoll. You get arts and culture cards that you can purchase, and you can get victory points for those. And then these are battle results and what happens when there's a battle. There is, on the back, it shows you when you build how many points it takes to build different things, and we'll go into that. I wanted to point out the improved agriculture marker. It's that green one there. If you notice on the map here, some of these brown, you can't build a village there until you improve its agriculture. So you have to spend a build point to do that, and then you can immediately, that same turn, still spend points to build. But what I'm going to do is go through the sequence of events, the turn sequence. So the very first thing is kind of a neat thing, turn order. You think it's really straightforward, and it is, but it has something kind of neat, and I've since now lost the token. Sorry about that. Shoot. Alright, well, I lost the token, and I don't want to waste your guys' time, but basically it looks like a little fish, and it's going to go in whoever is either losing or the first turn, it tells which group goes first. They decide who's going to go first and the order in which we go around, either clockwise or counterclockwise. So it's not as cut and dry as like, I'm going to go first because I'm in last place. You might want someone else to go first, so that you know that then any action you do will then be, you'll be able to do without them hurting you. It's a way in last place to be like, I'm going to go and attack you, and you can't re-attack me, like attack me back, and I'm still going to be last place, and then I can go first and get everybody back, or defend them, or whatever the case may be. But also, when you're trying to find new islands, it's important to go first so you can get there and conquer them first, and establish a colony there first. So it really kind of plays with like, what do I want to do here? So that's the turn order. Then we go to the exploration step, and let's just, for the example, say that red is going to go first. We have this handy dandy explorer. I lied, there is one more token. It's this guy. Handy dandy explorer, and what you do is you start at your home island or any explored area. So like if there were a bunch of islands that were explored, you could move your guy to there in the pre-move setup and then start from there if these were all explored up here. So just to bring it through, explorers here, and if you look on your list right here, it's the pre-move, that's where you can move anywhere. And then you go to discovery, and let's say I want to move him right here. Then what I do is I draw from a cup, and I draw a chit, and look, I already discovered an island on the first one. And on the back it shows 2 knots. So you remember that, it's 2 knots, and you draw from the pile, and these are randomized, and look, I found an atoll. Well, that's sad, but I'm going to leave it face down, because I don't want my opponents to know. They might think it's really good and want to go there themselves. And I'm going to put a red discovered token on it, showing that I know what it is, I can look at it anytime I want, but nobody else has found it yet. So right now I'm at 2. And I'm going to say, okay, now I want to explore here because I want to stick close to my home. It's better that way. And I'm going to draw a 3, another island, and it's a 3-knotter, okay? So now I've discovered 5 knots. And let's say I found Tuvalu. And I'm going to place it again face down. And I'm going to put another discovered chit. And you get 3 of these. And then once you have 3, you have to expose something, anything you want. I'd probably pick the atoll to say, hey, that's not anything anyone really cares about. So I put it there, and now because if I look on my handy dandy chart, when I hit 5, I have to return. So he goes back into my stack of chits. Let's say, for example, that, well, why don't we do it for green now? So green's gonna go, he goes here, and I'm gonna find one that's just open ocean. Okay, and he finds open ocean. So sad. It only cost him 1 knot, but I'm going to put it right up there to symbolize that it's open ocean. And I'm going to go here, and I'm going to draw again, and I found a 2-knot island. So I'm going to get rid of that, and I'm going to find Norfolk Island. And again, I'm going to put it face down. I'm going to put one of green's discovered on it, and now green knows about it, but nobody else. So that's 3 so far. So now I have the option. I can explore again, or I can return. Well, I get 2, it's basically 1 through 3 knots. So odds are 66% chance I'm going to be good. So I'm going to roll the dice and explore again. And I'm stacking the deck against me, and so let's say I wanted to explore up here. Because I went from here to there, and now I go there. And I roll the dice, and yay, I found an island, but I got a 3-knot. So he's going to go to the lost box. And then on the next exploration phase, when everyone else is exploring, he's just going to come back to my hand. But not all is lost. He found this, what's going on here? Here we go. He found this island, not a bad one, Rapa Nui. It's Easter Island to us. And he's going to paste it face down, same as before, and put that discovery on it. So that's it. That's the exploration step. That's kind of fun. That's how we discover our islands and where things are at. So now we can go down here towards our movement and battle step. So now if we had canoes, and let's just say later on in the game we've got stuff. So I'm just going to randomly forgive me. I'm just going to randomly throw some stuff out there, and we'll just kind of pretend like the game had been going on. And I'm going to put everything face up just for us because it's going to make it easier. And we're going to pretend that those are all in the spot that they belong. So let's say it's green's turn, okay? I should give him a colonist. All right, so these are things we've built over time. The game kind of is a bit of an engine builder. You're using your points to build up things, canoes, colonists. Let's say there's a really tasty island out there you want to get to. You're going to want to build a canoe and a colonist to get there quickly. The war bands and war canoes are not as important at the beginning because you have your local defenders who are going to defend anything. So those come into play a lot later in the game. But so right away, you're just kind of really getting to the island first. So the movement phase is going to be transit. Now, right now, we all still have our home island. But let's say we had our game kind of looked like this. I've got a canoe exposed, another canoe here, and I'm gonna look for another canoe up here. Okay, so those are going to be face up. The others are pretending they're face down. Those three are face up to show that I've got a transport area between the three. It's as if they're connected by land. And I can now transport anybody I want along that line, as much as I want, war bands, people, colonists, whatever I want, okay? As much as I want. Sorry about the shaky handheld iPad. So I'm gonna bring a canoe, and a colonist over to this island, and we're gonna pretend that this one is right here, okay? So now that I did the pre-movement, I just moved them there from my home island. I brought them up there and I said, all right, you guys are going to exist right on that island that I control. And now I'm going to do movement. And if you notice the 2, it shows how many spaces you can move. So, but this guy's next to it, so he's going to get there. And I'm going to bring the colonist in the canoe over to there. And I'm going to expose it and be like, hey, look at everyone. Look what I found. I found Easter Island. Go me. Suck it, Jarrett. We're good. So put it there. That's the movement. Now, we're not doing battle right now, but I'll circle back and get to battle a little bit later. Okay. So now that's the end of green's turn. And red would do the same thing down here, but I'm not going to worry about it. Now we're going to build. And how you build is you get points for how many number of villages you have. So right now, I just have 2 villages. So I'm going to have 2 victory points, or 2 points, to build with. So I'm going to look at my chart here on the back, and we can all kind of do this at the same time. So that speeds up the game quite a bit. The others have to go in order, but this can be done all at the same time. So I'm going to pick that I'm going to do 2, and I'm going to do another village. So this is going to kind of build up my engine, and I'm going to put it right there. So next time, I'm going to have 3 building points the next turn, and so on, and you can see how this kind of adds on. Then, if you notice that down here, it has convert colonies. So the colonists are now going to kind of go away and make their own village on Easter Island. So now next time, I'm going to have 4 building points, and these also count towards victory points. So we go to the next step, and the victory point setup. And let's just say this is our example. So right now I'm going to have, I'm going to have 3 here. The 4th village is up there, so that's 4 victory points. I control this island for 5. If you know, see how I have a canoe there? That gives me control of this one, that's 6. And that one, that's 7. So I have 7 victory points right down there, okay? One example on building I want to circle back to is, let's say this canoe got taken out, either by an enemy or let's say it was open water and I didn't have enough canoes and I really wanted to get to that island to settle it. There's a few nice ones, Hawaii, New Zealand, those are great. You find those, get guys on them quick, because they're basically like home islands in the size, 4 spots. All right, so there's no connection. So I wouldn't get the victory point for this. I would for the village, but not for the island, because it's not connected to my home base. All right, now when I build the next time, I'm going to get 3 to build with down here and 1 point up there. I can't combine them. if they were connected with that a canoe in between, right there, I could combine them and build anywhere I wanted and put guys anywhere I wanted on there. But since they're not connected, I build 3 here and 1 up there. And so I use this chart and I do it accordingly. So up there, I would only be able to build a transport canoe or improve the agriculture, which I could do because there's a brown spot. That's it. That's all I could do on Easter Island. The others, I'd spend 3 victory points, and what I'd probably do is improve the agriculture for 1 and build a village for 3. 2 more points for 3. So I'd have 4 villages on Samoa. So that's it. That's kind of the main parts of the game. So we went through the steps. We did the turn order, the exploration, the movement, the building, and the victory point. So let's talk about the 2 things I didn't talk about. These cards down here, you can purchase them, and you should do it later in the game as you get building points. Eventually you start to get like 10, 11 victory points, and so this is the cards that you get. So you can buy this, and if you notice, I get 1 victory point, and you don't have to show anybody. You can play them when it's your turn and get the victory points and kind of surprise people at the end by holding on to them. But it also has something underneath. So some of these are going to have 0 victory points, and some of them will have 2, or some of them you get 1 automatically, but 2 if you control all the mystical islands, that kind of thing. So its once removed result is treated as panics, results when this card is revealed. All right, that's a battle. That's a battle tactic. So it's showing that it's got healing. So you'd put this in front of you, and now when you have a battle, you could use it once when that happens. When there's a removed result, it's treated as panicked instead, or when it's revealed. So it would happen a one-time thing, but you get to save a guy basically. So those are the cards. They're worth buying. They cost 2 points. Let's talk about the battles now. Let's say that, let's do this. Let's say we got Lord Howe Island sitting right here, okay? And we've got a open ocean, if I can find one. Here we go. Open ocean right there. Okay, and we've got some guys up here, 3 war bands and 1 war canoe. So I want to go and attack Lord Howe Island, which is only defended by, let's say, a war band, 1 war band. And he's got a canoe because that makes sense for him to connect it, which is going to happen a lot. So we've got that situation, okay? And I want to attack him. So I'm going to take a guy and put him on the war canoe. The only way to get guys to move for attacking is if you have a war canoe. So that's why they cost 3 to build. They're very expensive. I can't put more than 1 guy in a war canoe. I'd need to build more war canoes to bring more guys if I wanted to attack. So let's pretend, because that would be a stupid attack, let's bring another war canoe and another war band. So they're going to go 1, 2, and attack here with their now 4 units. Okay, so there's a battle token. We put it there, and then what we do is you take these pieces and you take them all off the board and you put them down in front of whoever's attacking. And there's going to be a front line and a back line. Think of it like the back line is the ones that don't attack, and the front line are the ones that attack. And war canoes attack. They count as a unit. So right now it's 4 against 1. Now when you have islands, you get defenders. For every 2, or if you have 1 or 2 villages, you get 1 defender. If you have 3 or 4 villages on the island, you get 2 kind of home defenders. So he's going to pop out and help with the attack. It's like, oh no, we're being attacked. So now what we do is the attacker rolls, and and then you check the battle results chart. The battles are really simple and fairly random. You get a 50% chance of something good happening to you, 50% of something bad. And that works pretty well for green because they outnumber them 2 to 1 as far as attackers go. So he rolls, and I rolled a 6. So I check, and the defender is removed. That means killed. So if we had that card that I showed exampled, this would be a time, if he had it, he could say, oh, 1 removed result is going to be treated as a panic. And so what I would do is I would say, this guy, I'm going to panic, and he's going to run back to the back line. Okay? So I kept him from being killed with my card. It's now exposed. I only got to use it, but it counts as a victory point. And then the attacker, there's still guys there, so the attacker's going to attack again. And this time he rolls a 4, which is Defender Panics. Panics means goes to the back line. Well, these guys are home guys, but just for the sake of playing this one out. So he retreats. Now there's nobody left. So the attacker is going to win the battle. And these guys are going to be able to retreat. He's going to go away. Little home defender guy is going to go away. And these guys are going to retreat to an island within 2 that they control. So they're going to run back to their home island in defeat. Just as an example, if the attacker gets removed, he gets taken away, killed. If he panics, you're going to want to move these war canoes back first, simply because you don't want them killed. They are expensive. You'd rather have these guys get killed. So whenever it's panic, remove a war canoe and kill these guys. And then the same thing with the home defenders. Kill the home defenders first. Panic the war guys who cost things, because you want to save them as much as possible. So, all right. So let's say that attack went just the way it did. All these 4 are left. This village gets removed. I have the option, so that gets destroyed. And then I have the option of basically taking one village. Let's say it was a bigger island like Easter up there. You can remove one of your own guys. You can remove one of your own guys and replace it with one of your own villages. It only counts for 1. You don't get to do it like remove 2 villages and replace it with 2 of your own. You only get to replace it with 1. So now I have control of that island. These guys are sitting on Lord Howe Island. I don't know any history about that one, but I'll give you guys some fun nuggets about this area when we're playing. And you just tell me to shut up eventually when you want me to. So that's how that battle went. They'd get the victory point and the victory point check for having the village. They have control, but it's not connected to their home island, so they don't get the victory point. Red would have lost victory points for losing that, both control of the island and the village, but it did get to keep 2 of its units. It got its war canoe, was able to move a band. War canoes can move, transport war bands. They just can't attack with them. They can't bring them to an attack. So the war canoes are important because they need to go with these guys to the attack, but these guys can help bring them along to defend somewhere. A couple other little things that I know I realized now I forgot. If ever all 4 of us find a island, it gets automatically exposed. And then when you want to explore an already pre-explored spot, it costs 2 knots. So if I had, like in my pre-move, I moved my Green Explorer here, I moved there, it's going to cost me 2 knots. I'm going to get to see what's there and put a discovered spot there, and then I can continue on exploring or returning if I so choose. One other thing in the building phase is later in the game as the board gets filled up, which happens fairly quick, honestly. You can use the Explorer, and it's called Building from Within. So instead of spending resources to kind of stock your Explorer, you're just going to put them in the Lost box, and you're going to get an extra building point. So that can be useful, and it's worth remembering. Finally, the last thing is that I can think of is the off-course chit. When you pull that when you're exploring, what that means is that you're trying to explore, say, this one. The person on your left is going to decide, no, in fact, I'm going to actually have you explore here. It doesn't cost any knots. They just moved you somewhere farther away from where you're actually trying to do. So now you have to explore this spot, and then you can try and go back there if you still have the ability to with the number of knots. So in the off course, the person on your left gets to decide where you're going to explore, and, where you're actually going to end up exploring, because you get blown off course. I think that's it. These islands over here are already pre-discovered islands. You can attack them. You can try and conquer them. If you notice, there's 3 kind of defending guys there. They're going to defend. Ignore the mosquitoes and the numbers. That's in the advanced game for malaria. There are a bunch of advanced rules we can ignore. The sweet potatoes can be ignored as the Polynesians. There was a myth that they discovered sweet potatoes from South America and brought them back. Archaeological evidence does not support that myth, but that was the myth, so that's how the game gets played on that one. There's other event deck slot up there. That's the advanced game, so maybe if we decide we want to add that stuff in for the next game, we can. We can choose what to do. Has different ways to earn victory points and maybe speed up the game, but also add a little more complexity if you guys are feeling this is fairly easy. So I think that's it, guys. Let me know if you have any questions. Send me messages. I'm going to take one more glance around before I shut this down just to make sure I didn't miss anything. Yeah, I think the idea basically is you want to build up some general strategies, build up your home island quickly so you can then build more things, build colonists to go and explore things, but you need the canoes to do it. And then as the game goes on, you're going to want to build war bands and war canoes to take advantage of other people's battles because it'll start to get a little crowded. And as you can see, these two are already next to each other, so they can just go and attack each other anytime. It's just difficult. 3 and 4 players start over here. They get they get a 3 island spot instead of a 4, but they get a little bit more room to explore. So it's a bit of a crapshoot on kind of what you find, because you can find like Hawaii or New Zealand and have a 4 spot island, or you can find a bunch of atolls and that can stink. So it just kind of depends. Anyway, that's it. All right, thanks guys.